Dr. Rihana Mason. I'm a research scientist at Georgia State University. I was inducted into Psi Chi while attending Spelman College. While at Spelman, I participated in the National Institutes of Mental Health Careers and Opportunities in Research program, or NIMCOR. I received the Ford Foundation Pre-Doctoral Fellowship while attending the University of South Carolina in Columbia. I currently serve as a member of Psi Chi's Diversity Advisory Committee, and I am the chair of the Committee for Equality and Professional Opportunity, CEPO, which is a subcommittee of the Southeastern Regional Psychological Association. It's my pleasure to be able to facilitate this webinar about academic pipeline programs. And now we'll introduce Dr. Byrd.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Dr. Curtis Byrd. I'm an educational consultant. I have over 20 years of work with pathway initiatives at college campuses to assist students in their pursuit of undergraduate and graduate degrees, and as well as initiatives that support faculty diversity. Through the years, I've been a consultant and a director of several different academic pipeline programs, such as the Ronald E. McNair Post-Baccalaureate Achievement Program, the National Science Foundation's Lewis Stokes Alliance for Minority Participation as executive director at the University of Georgia, as well as currently the co-chair of the SAOP National McNair Research Conference in Atlanta, Georgia. And certainly I'd be remiss to not discuss this co-authorship that I have with Dr. Mason for our book, Academic Pipeline Programs, which we're about to talk about now. So I'll leave it at that and we can move forward.
Yes, so during this webinar, we will cover 4 areas. First, we will explain what academic pipeline programs are and how they fit within your academic journey. Second, we will highlight several hallmark national and regional academic pipeline programs that are applicable at the collegiate, graduate, postdoctoral, and faculty levels. The information that we share about these programs is available publicly on each program's website, but also we are sharing, as Dr. Byrd mentioned, information that we have now compiled in our publication that is under review with Leader Press, Academic Pipeline Project, Diversifying Pathways from the Bachelor's to the Professoriate. So our project is a peer-reviewed open access publication which highlights long-standing programs that support and propel underserved students in their academic journey. Chapters 2 through 5 detail programs that supply mentorship, research opportunities, preparation for advanced study, professional development, and funding opportunities for various underrepresented populations. Our resource, we believe, is the first to quantify these numerous diversity initiatives for a variety of audiences, including parents, high school counselors, college advisors, students like yourself, and the faculty that work within the departments and institutions. As you can see here on the screen, you're welcome to visit our website, academicpipelineproject.com.
Our overview will provide tips for leveraging these programs and for planning to take them into your academic journey. These tips are taken from my many years and our many years of work as a graduate education recruiter and retention officer, a academic pipeline program director. As I said before, I've served in the role as a McNair director. Some of you may be McNair scholars. I'm not sure, but these times, each one of your levels of there goes the technical difficulties. So, and certainly, my role as Assistant Dean of Graduate Studies at Clark Atlanta University have given me a wealth of knowledge to know quite a bit about what these programs and resources offer, particularly in view of this webinar. SciChi has many electronics resources that we'll be discussing. Additionally, our book includes an interactive appendix and database, which will have maps and listings of these programs, which we will be able to illustrate to you at a later date. But because you have this website, you'll be able to locate these initiatives and disseminate them based on each level of the pipeline, as we said before, throughout the United States.
Okay, great. So let's move into the academic pipeline and psychology career pathways. Psychology offers a myriad of career opportunities. There's no one way to succeed within the discipline. And we know that some of you all that are joining us may be psychology majors and minors, or you may be affiliated with some other disciplines like neuroscience or linguistics, speech language pathology. And so SciChi kind of sits here right in the middle as being an international honor society. And so it gives you a leg up to be able to present yourself as an applicant for many of these pipeline programs that we're going to discuss today. These pipeline programs assist you, especially those who are interested in pursuing advanced degrees in your discipline. You can see from our diagram the degree pathways if you're pursuing a master's degree, professional degree, or doctoral degree. I will say that a number of the programs that we will give an overview about today are particularly interested in helping students navigate the pathway through either the professional or doctoral pathway. So preparing you for careers in the social and behavioral sciences, STEM, business, or education. So just a brief overview of the academic pipeline. When we say that phrase, we are talking about your journey in the academy, starting with your pre-collegiate background, that's K through 12, as undergraduate students or the collegiate pathway, your freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year in college, onto those paths that we mentioned professionally, either master's degree, professional degree, or doctoral degrees. And then at the very end of the academy is moving into becoming a faculty member. So academic pipeline programs come in many shapes and forms, and they are sponsored in different ways. So the diagram that we have here shows you that across the academic pipeline, moving from K through 12 all the way through faculty, there are these programs or interventions, if you will, that are assisting you in numerous ways, which we'll talk about further in the webinar. As an example, here in the middle box, under program types, you can see research experiences for undergraduates. These are REUs sponsored by the National Science Foundation. They consist of 10 or so undergraduates who work in a research program at a host institution. Each student is associated with a specific research project, and he or she works closely with a faculty member and other researchers. During an REU experience, students are given stipends and in many cases also given assistance with housing and travel. That's just one example of an academic pipeline program. We're here in this middle red box now, just giving an example of an REU. There are other types of academic pipeline programs. Some are bridge programs, some are research programs, and then there are hosts of programs that we will discuss that combine these components together and also connect you to a rich alumni network to help you further through the academic year. Okay, so what are some of the common programmatic components? As I've mentioned, research, there's mentoring, there are alumni. So these academic pipeline programs have successfully assisted students from a variety of backgrounds, particularly those from low-income first generation and underrepresented minority students, in completing their academic journey through several core components. Academic pipeline programs build culturally enriching communities of academic practice. They offer a variety of services such as mentoring, professional development skills or opportunities like workshops, test preparation, tutoring, specific skill training at each level of the pipeline. There's also research opportunities and enrichment programs and activities. Some of these programs also include supplemental instruction and summer training programs. And then what's really key is the social and cultural capital components. And I see that our PowerPoint has terminated again. I'm going to let Dr. Byrd just talk briefly about what we mean by social and cultural capital components.
Thank you, Dr. Mason. What's key for the group to understand, and there is an echo, what you get out of the academic pipeline programs typically is you get a research mentor that you work with. And that's not all pipeline programs, but many of the pipeline programs that are available out there from McNair or REUs on campus, you're set up with a research mentor, or the program itself supplies itself with a mentor being the director. What you will get typically out of these opportunities are the social and cultural capital of the individual that you're working with. And that social capital comes through them lending their expertise to you, their knowledge base to you, and their network to you. And what's key to understand about that network is that network will include them being able to set you up in terms of letters of recommendation, be able to, if they're faculty members and they have colleagues around the country who can vouch for your educational and your research background, they can make phone calls on your behalf. And then also in terms of cultural capital is to understand the language and the lingo and the vernacular, so to speak, of the academic discipline that you're in. If you're psychology majors, I was an undergraduate in psychology as well, and a psych student way back in the 1990s. Those individuals become individuals that can show you what it means to be a psychologist, what it means to be a researcher and be a part of and a colleague in the field. And that cultural capital can go a long ways when you're looking at a particular institution that you want to attend or a job that you're looking for, and you're disseminating, people are looking through applicants. Well, if a colleague has given an endorsement to an institution where another colleague of theirs knows that person, you gain their social capital. Thus, you might get into a graduate program, or you might get into a position of in terms of a career opportunity. So keep those things in mind when we're talking about social and cultural capital, particularly as it relates to mentors and mentorship in general.
Okay, next we're going to discuss useful hallmark or academic pipeline programs that support students, as Dr. Byrd just gave us very key components. And so we're going to start just with a brief history. Again, he mentioned that some of you joining us may be a part of TRIO programs. And Dr. Byrd, I'll just let you talk about TRIO and the benefits.
Okay. Well, what's exciting to talk to the group about is how this whole thing started. The original Pathway program started with the TRIO programs. Many of you may have participated in Upward Bound or Educational Talent Search, or currently in Student Support Services. The TRIO programs were created through President Lyndon Johnson's policy called the 1964 Educational Opportunity Act. Started with the experimental program of Upward Bound, which is a pre-collegiate program that sponsors students through mentorship, professional development, and leveraging students with the opportunity to get into college in general. These programs were used to support students who often received later on Pell Grants. Pell Grants were tied to the original TRIO programs back in the early 1970s. So as TRIO grew, and as various policies that came from the government came through, more programs were started. Later on, the Veterans Upward Bound program came into fruition, as well as the Upward Bound Math and Science program, Gear Up, and of course, Student Support Services, which are all very strong programs now, and ending one of the last programs there being the Ronald E. McNair Post-Baccalaureate Achievement Program. And those of you that are not involved with the McNair program, if you have one on your campus, you're eligible in your junior or senior year. There are a few programs that allow students to come from other institutions during the summer months. And certainly if you have any questions about that, you can ask us later on in the presentation. So TRIO programs really started the kind of ball rolling with the idea of collegiate academic pipeline programs.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Byrd. So the Department of Ed sponsors the TRIO programs, and another large governmental agency, the National Institutes of Health, also has a series of diversity initiatives that not only support you at the collegiate level, but also through the full pipeline. And so NIH connects research experiences for community college students, students who are at a 4-year Research One university or liberal arts college, as well as through graduate school, your postdoc experience, and then even into faculty. And so I mentioned that while I was an undergraduate, I participated in the NIMCOR program. But now the National Institutes for General Medical Sciences, NIGMAS, also sponsors MARC, the RISE program, or Research Training Initiative for Student Enhancement. Bridges to the Baccalaureate program is one of the programs that's also available at the community college level. And so if you're a member of Psi Beta, that might be an option for you to participate in as well. So now we're going to talk about some of the other collegiate academic pipeline programs. We'll make sure to let you know when their upcoming deadlines are, because many of these are starting their application process. So we'll start with the Leadership Alliance. The Leadership Alliance is a national consortium currently comprised of more than 30 leading research and teaching institutions. These include HBCUs, HSIs, and minority serving institutions, as well as many Ivy League institutions. Beginning at the undergraduate level, the Leadership Alliance sponsors the Summer Research Early Identification Program, or the SREIP. And through the SREIP, students get hands-on, cutting-edge summer research experiences. They also get connected with a large alumni network. The Leadership Alliance sponsors their own national symposium. The Leadership Alliance accepts students who are majoring in computer and information sciences, engineering, humanities, life sciences, math, neuroscience, physical science, and the social sciences. Their application submission period opens November 1 and closes February 1. Next, the California Predoctoral Sally Casanova Scholarship for those who are on the West Coast. It's designed to increase diversity within the pool of university faculty by supporting doctoral aspirations of students in the California state system. Each year, the California Predoc program awards funds to a limited number of juniors, seniors, and graduate students in the California state system. And you can utilize these funds to explore and prepare, as well as succeed in your doctoral programs. Their applications will become available October 1st. The Mellon Mays Undergraduate Fellowship Program is one of the flagship programs of the Mellon Mays Foundation. You must be enrolled at one of the Mellon Mays member institutions. This program, you don't apply individually, but you apply through your institution. This program is designed for those who are doing academic careers in the humanities, but this also includes majors like linguistics, sociology, and interdisciplinary studies. And one of the key things that the Mellon Mays Foundation looks for is a commitment to reduce racial disparities in the educational system. The Mellon Mays Undergraduate Fellowship is open to U.S. citizens, but if there are any international students joining us, there are opportunities at the University of Cape Town, University of Western Cape, and the University of Witwatersrand in South Africa. And then lastly, the Institute for the Recruitment of Teachers was launched in order to reduce the number of underrepresented minority groups who enter teaching, administrative, and counseling professions. IRT offers a summer program, workshop, and the associate program. The workshop typically runs in the month of July. Applications open November 15th and close in March 2020. As a way to transition from the collegiate programs into the programs that support you at the graduate and professional level, I just wanted to put a plug in for the Ford Foundation Fellowship programs. As I mentioned, I was supported by the pre-doctoral fellowship when I was in graduate school, and their applications are becoming available now. The deadline as an undergraduate student to apply for the pre-doctoral fellowship is December 17th. And the Ford Foundation not only supports you financially through your graduate program, which is huge so that you have some flexibility in what you research, but it also connects you through the Conference of Ford Fellows. You have a chance to support and to present your research, attend several professional development workshops, and then throughout your life as a scholar, you are connected to key um, other key scholars, and there are regional liaisons who are also there to help you navigate each level of the pipeline. I've also listed the other deadlines if you're already in graduate school for the dissertation award and the postdoctoral award. And the way that this fellowship works, you have to submit your materials first, and then your recommenders submit their materials by January 7th. And that's including your transcripts as well. As we're going through these, I will just also say the deadlines for these programs are final. So plan ahead. Dr. Byrd will be giving you some tips, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to him for the remaining graduate programs.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mason. One thing I'd like to add to one of the former slides that you had was the collegiate program called the SUROP program. It's the Summer Research Opportunities Program, and I would suggest that students that are looking to do a summer research program similar to the Leadership Alliance, but this is primarily for schools in the Big Ten, which are schools such as Ohio State, University of Michigan, Michigan State, Penn State, University of Maryland. Those institutions have their own set of summer undergraduate research opportunities with opportunities for stipend payments, having a research advisor for the summer, and a closing out research symposium where you present your research, again, similar to the Leadership Alliance. And these, if you're a psychology major, and this is coming from a person who works with students who are ultimately trying to get into graduate school, these types of initiatives are key when you're applying to graduate programs. Most psychology majors are generally looking for opportunities to do study at the master's and doctoral level, so it's key for you to take a look at these types of initiatives. You can scroll up to the slide. Exactly. Thank you so much. So I'll briefly talk about some graduate and professional academic pipeline programs. Probably the one that is one of the hallmark programs to support students while they're going through their graduate program. Now, keep in mind, when you apply to PhD programs straight out of your undergraduate, for instance, if you're not going to apply to a master's program first, there are these doctoral initiatives that are out there, and often many of the PhD programs in psychology that goes for clinical, developmental, social psychology, IO psychology. If you're applying straight out of your undergrad to your graduate program, you are going to find yourself in a situation where you're likely going to get funding through the academic department. However, many students find their own funding opportunities and initiatives around these pathway initiatives to support them outside of just funding. And the Southern Regional Educational Board Doctoral Scholars Program is a fantastic program that offers all of that and more. They like to say that it's more than a check and a handshake is their motto, in terms of they're giving you funding, but they're going over and beyond those opportunities by monitoring students, assuring them to have a faculty mentor throughout their collegiate career. This program is set up for only doctoral PhD students. The initiatives allow you to go to a annual conference to get professional development opportunities called the Compact for Faculty Diversity. There will be recruiters there from institutions from all over the United States looking for students in their later years of their doctoral program, particularly looking for postdocs and junior faculty as you're about to graduate from your program. So they really help you from start to finish. They help you with professional development opportunities, such as how to develop your doctoral dissertation committee, to how to put together a CV, a curriculum vitae versus a resume, to how to do elevator talk when you're talking to people at national conferences. So it's a very comprehensive program. They support around 1,100 doctoral students in their PhD programs around the country. They typically fund students in schools in the southern region of the United States, but there are a few schools that are affiliated at the state level that are outside of that region. So certainly want to look that up. The Alfred P. Sloan Foundation, another scholarship program that funds PhD students typically in STEM areas. They are also affiliated with the Compact for Faculty Diversity meeting that the SRAB doctoral scholars are involved in. That's another opportunity for you. The National GEM Consortium, which is a really STEM focused, but highlights engineering programs, and that's a little outside of this, but I think they do take social and behavioral sciences students in that program. And then an example of a program that you most likely won't be affiliated with, but it's a great pipeline initiative, and that's the FIS Vanderbilt Masters of PhD Bridge program, and that's more STEM related as well. So if we can go to the next slide. What is key to is to, when we're talking about going on to the next level, and we're talking about what happens after you earn the PhD, is to start looking for postdoc and faculty academic pipeline programs. This is a little bit further along in your journey, but very critical for you to understand that these initiatives are out there when you're done with your PhD. So while you're in your doctoral or master's program and you're looking to go to the next level, you need to look for those postdoc fellowship programs, such as the one in University of California, where they do want you to actually come back and teach at one of the UC schools in California. So if there are any people on the line from California institutions, pay attention to that. There's also the National Center for Faculty Development and Diversity. This is a great initiative that has now reached students, as we were saying before, who are preparing to go into faculty positions. This agency or nonprofit agency has been very key to assisting students, graduate students, faculty, and administrators at institutions about how to beef up their own initiatives. So as we're talking about these, please take a look online for these initiatives. Then there's this fantastic program called the Sisters of the Academy, started through several colleagues that were affiliated with the National Black Graduate Student Conference, and several doctoral students put together this notion of African American women who get together and work to learn more about, and I think Dr. Mason was actually in SOTA, an initiative, and my wife was involved with SOTA, which are professional development opportunities to support one another in writing efforts, gaining tenure, basically matriculating in a positive trajectory as a faculty member in the academy, but they also work with undergraduates and graduate students and their journey through the pipeline. The Rochester Institute for Technology, RIT, have a future faculty career exploration program, which is an opportunity for this specific institution to bring in diverse doctoral students as they're finishing their PhD, and even those that are junior faculty members to actually go on to eventually work as a faculty member or postdoc at RIT. And then the Creating Connections Consortium program is an initiative with a variety of liberal arts institutions around the country, and you'd have to be a part of one of those institutions to actually be affiliated with this. But I think there's like maybe 20 some odd liberal arts schools that work with students to put them into undergraduate students to put them into research opportunities at a variety of Research One institutions as undergraduates in their junior and senior year, then come back and then eventually go to those institutions to get their PhD. But then it's a continuous pipeline program whereas you finish your PhD at a Research One institution, you come back and teach at one of the liberal arts institutions. It's a fascinating way to create kind of an internal pipeline program. It's sponsored by the Millen Foundation. So I'll go on to the next.
Yes, I just wanted to say two quick things before we move into these tips for leveraging the programs. I did want to say, yes, I was a part of SOTA, still a part of SOTA. They give you tremendous resources. Part of that culturally enriching community, it's like giving you a push, helping you with your writing, and things that you need to keep you going in the midst of all the other challenges that you may have in graduate school and starting new jobs when you become faculty. So Dr. Byrd has several tips for you all now, and we'll make these resources available as part of the webinar tools, as well as the links to the programs that we briefly discussed.
Okay, well, this is, and I'm going to go through this because I want the folks on the line to get an opportunity to ask questions of us as we go along. But I'm going to talk. This is some several presentation points that I bring up in a variety of institutions about how do you kind of prepare yourself and use these pipeline programs as you go along to kind of push you through, so to speak. And we were talking about McNair. We were talking about these summer undergraduate research initiatives. These are things you do to complement your strong GPA that you as a psych major likely have. But what kind of takes you a little bit over and beyond in terms of the type of candidate that most people are looking at as you're going into graduate or professional school are, of course, you got to maintain your academic standing, but you're building your academic portfolio. And what's key to do that is these pipeline programs often fill in these pieces by helping you be aware of these types of things we're discussing, such as you can go to your financial aid office, and if you qualify, for instance, for Pell, you're more than likely to get aid from ETS to give you a fee waiver or a half off waiver on your GRE that everyone has to take for graduate school. You want to start your application process early, drafting your personal statements, getting them reviewed by faculty members, graduate students at your institutions. These types of things are key when you're writing your personal statement, to make sure that it's not a copy of your resume, but you actually are telling a story about yourself and the relevancy of why it's important for this institution to look at you specifically, because everyone wants to help people, but that's not how you write a personal statement. And of course, these initiatives help you with personal statements. So allow plenty of time for people to write your letters of recommendation. And when we say a lot, allow time, 2 or 3 months ahead of time. In your junior year, you're asking for these. Most psychology majors, in fact, have to, most psychology majors actually have an application deadline of December 1st, around December 1st of your, for graduate study. You're looking at December 1st of your senior year. So anyway, presenting your, oh, I think you're up next. I'm sorry. Is this still me? I'm sorry.
No problem. I was letting you keep going and thinking you would naturally transition here.
Well,
Briefly just mention as part of what Dr. Byrd was saying, you're going to start ahead of time, and participating in those academic pipeline programs will give you a research experience, and we're encouraging you to present your research at several student-friendly conferences that also include these professional development workshops and allow you to network with professionals. And so we've given you ABRACAM's annual biomedical research conference for minority students, as well as the Society for the Advancement of Chicanos, Hispanics, and Native Americans in Science. They offer two very good opportunities, as well as the National Conference on Undergraduate Research, or NCUR. And if you haven't participated in your own research experience, we would also encourage you just to go and to attend to see what is happening and be inspired.
And what's key to know also about initiatives like ABRACOMS or SACNAS or NCUR, some of those initiatives do supply funds to go to the conference, so you're not paying for it on your own. There's scholarships that actually pay for you to go to those conferences. So please check those out. In fact, ABRACOMS probably is already, many of these have expired, but the spring, the NCUR is actually in the spring semester, so certainly look at that as well. Now, moving on to the senior year, of course, we're coming out of your junior year in the summer between your junior and senior year. What's key to think about is to leverage summer undergraduate research programs. This is a key component, and I've helped several students do this. It's to do summer undergraduate research programs. Some institutions have their own SUROP programs. Is to do a summer research program at an institution that you want to apply to. And what's key to that is people in the department that you're applying to are actually looking at your credentials and your work ethic prior to you applying. So by the time you are taking the GRE and sending your applications in and requesting your letters of recommendation and so on and so forth, they already know who you are. So I would highly recommend that students use any of the summer undergraduate research programs at institutions they're considering to go to, especially the summer between their junior and senior year. So of course, as you're doing this, you're looking at fee waivers. You're asking institutions, can you get application fee waivers at the schools you're applying to? Many of the academic pathway programs that are out there, they automatically allow you to get these types of these types of benefits, such as the McNair program. I would argue more than half of the major research one institutions in the United States give application fee waivers to McNair scholars. So keep that in mind. Find out, looking and researching fee waivers at the institutions to which you apply, finding out their research and make sure they align with your interests. Keeping in mind, you're going to be, as a doctoral student, you'll be there for 4, 5, 6 years. You really want to make sure that the research teams that are at the institutions, whether it be in neuroscience or even clinical psychology, counseling psychology, what have you, you kind of get those things in order. Moving on to leaving your undergraduate program, at your current institution, make sure you leave in good academic standing. Finish strong, as we say. Collect your final transcripts. Accept your offers by the April 15th. There's an April 15th deadline that most institutions require you, as you're applying or as you're accepting offers from institutions, that your any funding you're going to get, if you're going to get funding from the institution, such as an assistantship, a research assistantship, or a graduate assistantship, teaching assistantships, that you have to accept your offer from institutions by April 15th. That's kind of the universal rule with doctoral programs around the country. Declining offers, this is kind of etiquette about the application process to graduate school. Please be involved in your exit interviews at your home institutions and send letters and cards of appreciation to those that have helped you. And then as you're transitioning into your new academic institution, regular communications with the academic department, finding out basically what the amenities are for your graduate experience, health insurance, parking, childcare, a computer, office space, and any summer bridge programs that are out there. That's another academic pipeline program. Some institutions actually have opportunities for you to get transition into the institution the summer before you start. So you can go into the next slide. After graduation and starting graduate school in the summer months, as I said, looking for those bridge programs. By now, you're talking to individuals that were like me in terms of helping liaison, or that are liaisons to the institution, who are working in the graduate schools and working with the department chairs and the office managers of the academic departments that you're applying to. Understanding if you're going to a place like Illinois or Kansas to go to graduate school, you need to know what's going on in the community. Transitioning driver's license, direct deposit at those institutions. That's key, because if you're on an assistantship at the institution, you want your funds to go directly into your, as you're getting paid, you want to make sure your funds are going directly into your account. Enroll early, review the handbooks to get the policies that are going on. And then into your fall semester, regular communications again with the academic department, confirming your space and visiting the resource center. Go to all the orientations that they're providing, the one through the graduate school, the one in the academic department, and even if there's anything with any of the student organizations out there, such as the Black Graduate Student Association or the Graduate Student Association, you want to get affiliated with those guys in your first year. Those things may drop off once you get into your second and third year, but the first year, to get yourself oriented into the culture, that cultural capital thing, that social capital thing, knowing senior graduate students and doctoral students can help you navigate your first couple of years of grad school. You can go to the next slide. And then a couple more tips, and I'll keep this short because I know we got to get through this. Treat grad school like a job, finding mentors. You're really adjusting to being an average student. I know most of you are probably really strong GPAs. You're in Psych-I, Honors Society, so on and so forth. But everybody in graduate school has a profile like you now. So you have to understand that just adjusting to having other people like yourself, that's not a big deal. Just know what you're dealing with, and try to find other like-minded individuals to help you along this journey of graduate school, focusing in on the research and professional development opportunities, managing unstructured time. You're going to have a lot of time on your hands where you have to set up everything on your own. It's not going to be so lockstep as a curriculum that's set up for undergrad, whereas you may have major projects at the end of the semester, but nothing in between. What do you do to make sure you're going to your office space? You're showing up like a regular job, 9 to 5, even though you don't have class maybe but once or twice a week. Those kinds of things you got to understand how to give yourself structure to keep consistent and be available for opportunities, because while you're going through your graduate program, If you're doing research, you're working with faculty members, you're present in your office, when opportunities for funds to go to academic conferences come, you'll be in the office when somebody else might be in a library or be at home, but you're in the office and somebody might knock on your door and say, hey, there's an opportunity. Do you want to go? So understand that culture of your department in the institution, networking, attending those conferences I said before, know the language and the discipline, the language of the discipline and graduate school, and know how to protect your time. Don't get involved in all of the initiatives for diversity and then find yourself not doing your homework at the same time, and understand the policies and choose your dissertation committee wisely. Okay.
So thank you, Dr. Byrd, for all of those tips. There were certainly many, many more that we could have shared during this webinar. The purpose of holding this webinar for you all today was really to just bring your awareness to these programs and to the components that they give you above and beyond what Psi-Chi provides for you as an International Honor Society. But there are lots of Psi-Chi resources that are electronic. If you navigate to the resources, careers, and psychology section on Psi-Chi's website, you will find additional material, as well as several Eye on Psi-Chi articles. If you use graduate school, career preparation, and fields of psychology as search terms, you will find many written articles that aligns with some of what we've discussed briefly in this webinar today. So we did want to give you all time to ask us questions. If there are particular programs you wanted to know more about, please go ahead and unmute your microphone and ask your questions. You can also put questions into the chat box, and then I can restate them. We have a question from Teresa. How are we sharing the presentation and any additional materials? Will you be emailing us? That's a great question, Teresa. I believe that Psi-Chi will make links available on their website with the webinar recording, and we will have some supplemental materials. I do see that within the webinar, we can see who's logged on, and we will definitely see if we can email you these materials as well. Are there additional questions? Okay, so would you be able to speak briefly about your experience at the University of South Carolina? Sure. Hey, I attended back in the late 90s, early 2000s. That experience was different for me, given that I came from all women's historically Black college, Spelman. So I did have a little bit of a culture shock when I came on campus, being a minority in my program. I was in the experimental psychology program. And so not only were there not underrepresented racial and ethnic minorities, but also being a female. I do think that going to the Conference of Fort Fellows, being around others who were experiencing programs like mine, gave me an outlet to talk. There were some rules of the game that I needed to learn. And so overall, the academic experience was great. There were definitely some cultural things that was different from Spelman. South Carolina then was becoming a big football school, so I also had to adjust for being part of the SEC. Although I know Dr. Byrd would say that's nothing compared to the UVA Bulldog experience. But, there were cultural events in the city. And then I did go other places. I got connected with a local church and some other organizations to kind of keep me culturally grounded while I was there. And I still keep in touch with several of the other African American graduate students who were in the clinical program, a few that are now back in Georgia as faculty members.
Someone sent a message about sending their email address to us. Will you be able to, aren't they going to get this presentation through SciCai?
I believe so, but if you all would like to put your email addresses into the chat box, I think that we can capture them that way. I'm not actually sure how SciCai takes the registration information and how they will make it available to us. So, as a plan B, which is something that Dr. Byrd mentions also with preparing for graduate school, please go ahead and type your emails in the chat box. Thank you, Teresa.
Are there any other questions?
Thanks, Haley. We do thank you all for joining us. We wish you much success on your academic journey. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.